Today we're diving deep into a major turning point on Sister Wives, where Robyn and Kody step out for a date night that's all about plotting their spiritual future.
And it's not just any casual discussion. They're seriously looking into finding a new church. This is big for Kody, who's had a tough relationship with his previous faith.
Exactly. And the big question here is, can Kody move past his old grievances and truly embrace a new congregation? Or is this search more about finding stability for their children's spiritual upbringing?
Right? And then there's Robyn. She's maintained her faith throughout all the ups and downs, but now she's facing the reality of seeking a new church home, not by choice, but by necessity to secure a stable future for her family.
So, what does this mean for their family dynamics and their faith journey? There's a lot to unpack here about their motivations and what this search could really signify for them moving forward.
Definitely a lot to consider. Let's dive into this. Hey everyone, welcome back. My name is Sam.
And I'm Melissa.
I was raised in a family with 4 moms and 35 kids. We were members of the FLDS Church, which is a polygamous group run by their prophet Warren Jeffs, who is now serving a life sentence in prison.
I was raised mainstream LDS in Utah. Sam and I have been married for 10 years, and 5 years into our marriage decided to leave Mormonism together as a family. We now have 2 awesome kiddos.
Yes, we do. We want to quickly thank our donors, YouTube members, patrons on Patreon, and all of our wonderful subscribers. We have this big goal of reaching 100,000 subscribers by the end of this year, so if you haven't already, please don't forget to like and subscribe.
We also have our holiday fundraiser going on through the end of the year for an awesome organization called Holding Out Help. They help people who have left polygamous communities like Sam's, like the AUB and the Brown families, and they help give tools and resources to help them go from isolation to independence. So you can find that link below. If every person that watches this episode just donated $1, we would more than double our goal this year. So please click the link below to donate now.
Yes, thank you all so much. It's an awesome organization.
Today we are back with Sister Wives. Once again, I can't believe that we're 14 episodes into this thing, and we are starting to see some more timelines and storylines that I am intrigued to see. I know a lot of you out there know a lot more about where the Brown family's faith journey is than us. We try to avoid that and keep it fresh, the fresh eyes on Sister Wives in these episodes. But obviously things as big as Christine's wedding and things with her and Mary, like we already knew a lot of that was coming up before the season began. But this storyline of watching Kody and Robyn and their kids going through like this faith transition and finding new churches is something that's new to us. And I'm like really excited to kind of get into those dynamics.
Yeah, it's very, very interesting because we have recently and are kind of still going on this faith journey ourselves. And me coming from a fundamentalist Mormon background and Melissa mainstream. So we have a lot of unique, I guess you could say, perspectives on what they may be going through as they transition in their faith here.
Yeah, and looking for a new church is a big deal. So it's going to be, I'm glad that the episodes are continuing to follow this storyline and not just have dropped it after the last episode. I was like, please let them continue on with this. So I'm glad that they are. First and foremost, which we typically talk about first, is Christine, them having an engagement party. I think it's cute they're doing all the parties, which is so Christine, right? Like from the very beginning, she was always wanting to do all the Brown family get-togethers and parties. And so now she's getting to do all the things all the time and get to do all the things for her wedding and get to enjoy all the celebrations that you typically have that she never got to experience the first time.
Yeah, no, I'm very happy for her. And, you know, her kids are still having their concerns and how fast everything's going. But I don't know. They're both grown-ups, you know, and they're making their decision. And it seems like everything is falling into place just right for them. And so I'm happy that she's getting to experience a wedding the way she wants to experience it, not in secret. And that is something she brought up in this episode, that a lot of even though the church that she was raised in, the AUB, would be so proud of this, I guess, belief of plural marriage, as they would call it, that it's following God's will, they were also very secret about it all. And so that's why they couldn't celebrate.
Yeah, one thing that I think is cool is watching in all of these celebrations, the effort that Janelle and her kids put into being there for Christine. So they don't just go outright and say, oh, these two have stayed super close. This is where everyone's at. But you can definitely see the love and support that Janelle and Christine share, and how Janelle continues to be there for Christine and all of these things, even if it's flying in for a single day. And watching a lot of Janelle's children also have that same relationship with Christine. Like Maddie flew out all the way with a tiny baby for Christine's wedding dress shopping. So it's cool to see that they still get to have that relationship and that they continue to be close, because they don't have to be.
Right.
Right?
But how dare Janelle have such a good relationship with Christine? How dare she, right? That is just such a backstab for Kody. So
Yeah. Because Cody's so there for Janelle. So, right? So it just doesn't make sense as to why Janelle would go and be there for someone who loves and supports her back.
I'm very happy that they have chosen to remain friends and be there for each other. Two people that can truly understand what the other person has been through.
Yeah, I think that's probably their closest bond, right? Like nobody else could have gone through not only just polygamy, like a plural relationship in general, like you see Mary's friends, but then the fact that Janelle and Christine were married to the same man, they really get it. They really get what it was like to be married to Kody Brown, which is an adventure all of its own that we've gotten to enjoy watching.
Yes.
The next one is Mary and her friends and her visiting Las Vegas, forcing Jen to go to, as they said, hell because of the heat and how many people. And man, do we feel that on a spiritual level.
Yeah, I can relate to Jen.
It's me convincing Sam. He's like, let's just move to the mountains. I just need snow. I'm like, let's compromise here. Yeah, I was laughing so hard. I'm like, that's Jen.
Yeah.
I mean, that's Sam.
Yep. But she did convince her to go down with her to meet with some more friends in Las Vegas. And wow, that was an interesting conversation. And we got some insight into some of the backstory with Robyn and Kody that I don't think we've ever heard before.
Yeah, I don't know if it's been on camera before, but it was cool to see. I think it continues to be cool to see these strong friendships that Mary built, because she was really alone for so long. And so it's awesome to see that she has so many supportive friends, and friends that saw what happened firsthand. Like they were around the family, or in this case, they had gone on double dates with Kody and Mary before. And no matter what Kody says about, all of Mary's friends are trash talking me more than Mary is, they're doing it for her, blah, blah. Yeah, because they're true friends who are defending her, and they are not emotionally manipulated by Kody.
Well, and they've also seen what Kody has been doing. I mean, he's been on camera for a long time now. And aside from the public camera that everyone is able to see, they also are hearing insider information from what's going on with inside the family from their friend Mary here, right? Yeah. Who is very much involved. So I think that they have a lot more knowledge of what's going on, of who Kody actually is, maybe than he would like to believe.
Yeah, or when he tried to say, like, they don't know me. And I'm like, you do know people by the way they treat other people. And by the way they treat your friends, you're going to know that person. So that argument doesn't really stand, especially when it comes to being defensive for your friend who's not defending herself, like Mary.
Exactly.
So I love seeing all of Mary's friends being supportive, calling Kody out, and being happy for her to be able to move forward.
Yeah. Definitely is nice to see that she has all of the chosen friendships around her that are so supportive, because, man, Mary has been on her own a lot.
Well, and she
through her struggles.
Yeah, and she talked a lot about how for a long time her and Robyn, she's like trying to put effort into that friendship, that her and Robyn were close at the beginning, and that she kept trying to put effort and text and call. And as she was not getting that reciprocated, she's like, I'm not going to be in a relationship that's not reciprocated back.
And this is one of the things that was brought up that I don't think has really been on camera before, that Mary actually starts to shed some light on Robyn and the relationship they had, and how even though, during COVID, for example, Mary was really trying to follow all the rules, to be there, to try to have that relationship and friendship. And it sounds like Robyn was, too busy for her?
Well, and they used excuses, which we saw in some episodes where Mary was following all of the rules perfectly, all the rules that Kody and Robyn had put in place. And then when Mary was trying to be a part of the family with Robyn and Kody, and they said, we don't want it to look like we're favoring you. And so they wouldn't let Mary hug the kids. And it made no sense, because if they're following all the same rules, then that shouldn't matter. Then she's earned the right if you want to talk like Kody, then she's earned the right to get to be with their family and be with Saul and Ari and be with the kids and be with them, but they still wouldn't let her. And do you remember that? Was it like a family picnic or something? Mm-hmm. They all went out to the property and Mary wanted to hug Saul and they were like, oh, no, no, no. She's like, I've been following all your rules. And they're like, well, we don't want it to look bad to the other wives. I'm like, such an excuse. I remember being so angry at that scene when it happened, still angry now. And as we're continuing to like see that she followed all these extra rules and it still just was never enough. Right.
Right. And the fact that Kody was actually giving her a checklist of things. Okay, if you do this, 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 and this, then I will do this for you. Right. Like there was always this, you have to do what I say in order to get anything back from me. So it wasn't an equal relationship at all, even from long, long time ago. But it's very, very clear now that, well, I mean, it's been clear to us for a long time, but I think it's becoming more clear to Mary now that Kody always favored Robyn. And even during COVID, he chose to be with Robyn. Even though Mary was following all of his COVID rules, which were the rules that were keeping everyone else away from the Robyn family, even though she was following them, he was still keeping her away. So there was definitely a lot more going on than just COVID in that moment.
And yet he still is doing things like texting her after the breakup and being like, why are you moving so fast on this? I was like, you've got to be kidding me. I was with Jen on this one when she's like, it's so frustrating when he says things like that. Like, why are you moving so fast on getting the spiritual divorce? Do you have a guy on the side? The vulgarity.
The nerve.
The vulgarity that he would think that she had a guy, that's why. No, maybe she is divorcing you on all fronts because you've been not even in a marriage for the last 10 years and she wants to just be able to move forward with her life. But no, it must be that there's a guy on the side. So frustrating.
Wow. It is just all about him is what it seems to always be. It's, she couldn't just be leaving for herself because she needs this. It must be because, another guy or it just doesn't make any sense. And it's so, so sad that she is still, at least in this bit where they're filming, she still admits to love him, which is fine, right? Like they had a lot and they have a child together and they had a lot of history. They do have a lot of history, but still, it seems that Mary is still in some way or another hanging on to their relationship, even though it's from a distance. So I'm just very patiently waiting to be very excited when that day comes that Mary can say, you know what? I am so glad that we have nothing. We have nothing to do with each other at this point. I am far past it and I've moved on.
Yeah, I hope that for her too. I hope that it happens somewhat quickly for her and that she doesn't feel the need to have to justify it when it comes. Yeah. Like I want her to be able to get into a next relationship and not have to justify the length or how long it had been, or I feel like she would feel like the need to justify all of those things in her actions because she's been in such a constant state of trying to please Kody for so long.
Right.
But I'm just glad she has the friends she has. She has a great support system. She's back in Utah, away from them physically, which is fantastic. And then we have the two that are left, which is Kody and Robyn.
Yes.
And they go on this date. There are so many things that get brought up in this date. I think they thought it was just going to be like a romantic night and then...
a romantic night by themselves with cameras all over, but yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But before we get into that date and all of its awkwardness, we do have to thank our sponsor of this video, which is Descript.
Yes, Descript makes editing so easy it feels like cheating. You can take any video, yes, even the ones sitting on your phone right now, and turn it into something truly amazing.
Here's the magic. Upload your video and Descript transcribes it into text. From there, editing is as simple as deleting a word from a sentence. Highlight, cut, drag, and just like that, you've edited your video. You can clean up filler words, add captions, and even remove background noise automatically. Perfect for things like birthday montages, travel highlights, or quick TikToks.
One of our favorite features is the AI tool. It helps us brainstorm captions, draft Instagram reels, and even suggest chapter titles for YouTube. It's like having a creative assistant in our pocket. And it's so fast you don't need hours or fancy skills. Descript is intuitive enough for first-time users and powerful enough for pros. Plus, you're saving time and cutting out the need for extra tools.
If you've got memories to share, stories to tell, or just want to spice up your social media game, Descript is the way to go.
Click the link in the description and try to script today.
So Kody and Robyn go on this date night, and they're having a chance to get away from the kids for a little bit, like Sam said, in front of a whole bunch of cameras. And it gives Robyn an opportunity to bring up the fact that their older daughters want to start looking for churches and a place that they can go and be able to find community, find like-minded boys, and have a place to be able to go back to church on Sundays. And this has so many layers to it, really, because just a couple things. One, leaving a Mormonism group, you go from believing that you have a fullness and the only truth. So starting off with that belief system, I know especially for us going through faith transition, it's hard to try to branch out and go to other churches because sometimes it can feel like a betrayal of your religion or your religious upbringing. Or as you start searching, you're searching for that other one truth, right? So you go from this idea of this was the one truth. Well, if that's not true, there has to be one truth out there somewhere else. And so searching for other churches, at least in our experience, can go a couple ways. I mean, if the girls are just searching for community, that can be its own search, and maybe they can find a community that doesn't hold the same type of truth claims as what a branch of Mormonism would. But then you also have the people who are going to be looking and they're going to be searching for that truth and thinking maybe we didn't have it all along. We're going to go try to find the one true church somewhere else.
Yeah, and it seems to me that it's more about the community.
Yeah, it does seem like that for the girls.
Yeah, and even when Robyn talks about it, and especially when Kody talks about it, it seems that, because he even says, he's like, yeah, I'm okay. I would be okay if they went to the Mormon church just to find a cute boy. And so it seems that it's turned into more of this, hey, let's find a community of people that are religiously minded, but they say that, but I wonder if it's more about just creating, because we know what it's like when you're raised in a Mormonism type religion. There's always this really tight-knit community. It was the same in the FLDS, the same in the mainstream LDS, and I know probably the same in the AUB based on what we've heard, where it's this very tight-knit community where you have all of these like-minded people around you. And so that's, in my opinion, what they are missing. And I'm not saying they're not missing, something, a faith of some kind. I'm sure that there is that as well. But based on what they say, it seems that it's more the community to me.
Yes, but Kody did also say that he knows that if he tried to go right now, he said churches aren't a safe space for him right now. He said, yeah, because if I tried to go right now, I would be sitting there with my Bible open, and anytime they'd say anything, I'd be searching for whether or not I thought what they were saying was true or not. And I think that that's a very similar mindset of anybody leaving a more high demand religion and that has a lot of truth claims. Then all of a sudden you kind of grew up, at least in my experience, and you can speak to yours, but when you grow up that all the other churches are wrong, right? And so when you have that mindset, I'd have to admit that I haven't been ready to go to another church either, because I would be like Kody. I would be sitting there with my pen and paper being like, this is why I think they're wrong, because I spent so much of my life growing up being taught why I had the truth and these other churches didn't. And so going for community is great. And I do think that's what his daughters are looking for, because they never truly grew up in even the AUB community.
Right.
Because they were pretty young when they moved away from Utah, right? So they've grown up without a religious community for so long that just searching for that, they don't have that same innate, here's why we have the only truth and all these other churches are wrong built into them. Kody does, though.
Oh, yes. Well,
right?
he did from the mainstream LDS church, and he even served a mission, and then he later joined
the AUB and had the reasons why the mainstream church was wrong and the AUB was correct, right?
So Robyn even mentioned that, yes, you would be trying to make sure that they weren't teaching false doctrine, and everyone in the congregation would know it.
Yeah.
Which kind of gives some insight that maybe Robyn would be embarrassed to take Kody with her to one of these congregations while they're church shopping, because who knows what Cody's going to say publicly in front of people about whether or not he feels that what they're saying in the Bible. And trust me, a lot of these Christian denominations out there will say things differently about a passage in the Bible than the Mormon church teaches.
Oh, 100%. There's some major differences.
Yes. And so if Kody starts speaking up and saying, hold on a minute, this is what it actually means, that would be pretty embarrassing, I would think, for the rest of the family.
Yes. But at the same time, so they have all of these probably concerns, or you could tell Robyn and Kody were talking about some of the concerns Kody would have about going to a different church. But at the same time, the root of their marriage and of their entire relationship is church-based, right? They talk, I feel like this is the first time they talked about like their love story in the same way that they did in this episode.
They got into some details when they first met, yeah.
When Cody's talking about the fact that he saw her at church and he couldn't stop staring at her, and they made the gaze, and lightning struck through Robyn's body. Now, this is interesting for a couple reasons. One, having that type of like electric feel, no wonder he favors her, right? But two, he was married 3 times over at this point that he met her gaze and felt all of these things.
Well, it was Robyn that said she felt the lightning bolt.
But he felt the gaze and couldn't look away, right?
Wow.
But this is something...
You could take that so many different directions.
But you don't have those type of experiences too if you're not in a church that already accepts polygamy. Typically, if a guy is married, let alone married 3 times, they're not gazing at other women. He even said he thought it was inappropriate purely because he figured she'd probably already be married.
Man, it just, the polygamy thing. And it makes me wonder because he came from mainstream Mormon church, serves a mission, and I know that his parents converted, but it would have been pretty easy for him, being a returned missionary, to say, no, this is what I believe in, and stick strong to that. I think, because he had just served a mission. But so quickly he switched to this AUB, this fundamentalist doctrine and idea of polygamy. I have to wonder, did he switch because he likes the idea of polygamy? Or did he switch because his parents were converted and then he later came to terms with the idea of polygamy? Because
I don't know.
There's just something about the idea of being married to 3 women and then being in church and looking around at other women. I mean, that just is so, wow.
Unique to that specific religion, right?
Yeah. But then, of course, Robyn feels a lightning bolt through her body, and then they knew that it was love at first sight. And because before this moment, they seemed to always blame it on Mary for convincing them to come together.
Yeah, that's what I thought the narrative was. They were at a party. Mary says, go dance with Robyn. Not, I can see that my husband had a gaze on this woman in church and then re-met her again and had something there. Like, it always seemed like it was a Mary thing. And this made it sound like it was really them making a connection and then pretending like it wasn't a thing until they got approval from the other wives?
This is my personal opinion, is that Mary saw all the goo gaga eyes that Kody was giving and that they were exchanging back and forth. And Mary, knowing that she was completely out of control, like she had no control over the situation of whether or not he was going to try to pursue this relationship because he's the man of the house and polygamy is natural in this environment.
Yeah.
And so she was more just like, fine, yeah, go dance with her. But maybe didn't say it with that tone, but I'm sure she saw what was happening right before her eyes. And she just assumed, hey, it's better that I try to make friends with her and make my life easier than try to avoid the inevitable.
Well, and they talk about the fact that in the AUB, the women are supposed to have more of the say, more of the picking, right? Mm-hmm. Which again goes into the culture of the fact that Robyn could look at a guy who was married 3 times and even look at him as a prospect or get lightning struck through her whole body, right? So if it was going, like you said, if it was going to be able to be her decision anyway to ask to be a part of the family, then Mary was probably thinking it's better for me to go along with it and to be happy about it, or as happy as I can be, and move forward that way. But it's the whole dynamic of it. Since they had their relationship built upon this, from meeting in church to being very religious, Robyn talked about the fact that she wouldn't have married Kody if he had not been like firm in his faith in the AUB to begin with. You know, that's why she met him at church. And all of those different layers and aspects one thing, which I'm going to get shot down in the comments for this, and that is totally okay. I will give Robyn one thing, and that is that she spiritually has been forced into the strangest position out of the whole family. Spiritually. Because, stay with me here for a second. People don't just turn me off because this. Just give me just a second.
I'm staying here. I'm not leaving.
Oh, thank you. Okay. Christine decided she didn't believe it. She was able to leave. Mary had enough faith in it that she went and got her release. So she had a little bit of that. But then she pretty much has gotten to decide for herself whether or not she wanted to continue to be part of the AUB. She could be in Utah. She wanted to be, feel like she got to have her own personal journey because she was left out on this island of exile. So she was able to make up her own decision. Janelle, same thing, independent, had the space to be able to decide what she has in faith. She's married to Kody, and she's watching Kody go through basically turning into kind of hating the AUB. Mm-hmm. And her church rejecting their family after she got into the
because
he
didn't want to cut his hair.
Yeah, they didn't want to cut his hair. But Robyn is stuck in a weird position where I feel like the choice of whether or not she can be a part of the faith that she loves or whether or not she wants to be a part of that has kind of been taken away from her because of her position with her husband and because of the position with the church and their family overall as the Brown family. If she still believed in the AUB, it's not like she could really be accepted back into it without leaving her husband.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like. And so I don't know if she wants to. Like, is she wanting to go to another church just for community? Is she wanting to do it spiritually? She seems like she still believes in the law of plural marriage, even though she's not living it anymore. I feel like all of these things have been chosen for her. She had no control. Well, we all know separately from the fact that she kind of wanted Kody all to herself. But aside from that, all the other women left. She's no longer in a plural marriage, whether she believes it in or not. Her husband has now all this animosity against their old religion, whether she believes in it or not. And now her kids want to go to a different faith. They couldn't join hers basically if they wanted to or not because of their circumstances and where they live. And so I feel like she's just put into this really, it would have to be hard to have a faith transition in the space that she's created for herself.
Oh, yeah. Well, it seems that she's come to terms with the fact that they're no longer a part of the AUB, though. Like, based on the way she talks and even the way she dresses, and that's just something we notice growing up, Mormonism, that dress codes are a very specific thing, that she's come to terms with that. But also, it's been a long time coming because from the very beginning of the show, they were going against the church by going public.
That was one thing when they were like, oh, yeah, you know, when the AUB, it really hurt Kody when everyone was against us at the beginning of the show. And I'm like, we've talked to people who are very close with the leaders of the church in the AUB, and the AUB told them beforehand, do not do the show. Don't do it.
Right.
And they went against the church. So then for them to act like they're surprised that the church wasn't happy with them is silly.
But the truth came out in this episode because Kody said that he was very frustrated that the church, he basically said the church is a cult because it told me that I had to cut my hair. How dare they say I have to cut my hair? You're a cult. I want my daughters to stay away from cults. That's basically was his 2 cents.
Mm-hmm. That was a very quick synopsis of that, huh?
But it does, it got to a point where Kody did say, I am okay with you, Robyn, going to church as long as I can go with you because I don't want any man to think that you're single and try to hit on you. And let's make sure your ring is shiny enough that it's noticeable from across the room. That's a concern, right? And then of course he said that I'm okay if our daughters go as well because I think that them having the community. And he said something like, I trust that the Lord will guide us to the right church.
Yes. So now it does seem like it's going to be a whole family affair. They are going to, in the words of Robyn, kind of church shop a little bit and try to find a good place for them, their family, that they can have the community. I think it's going to be interesting to see if as they find this community, if it ends up being more about community or if it ends up being more about doctrine. Yeah.
Personally, I believe that it will be more about community. And I think that unless Kody decides to go the doctrine route, but I think that for Robyn and the girls, it's more about the community for sure.
Yeah, and that is our question to you guys for the week. Which do you think it'll be? Do you think that their search for a church is to search for a truth, a doctrinal truth that they can rely on as part of their faith? Or do you think it's going to be more about the community, finding cute boys possibly to date? Nothing wrong with that. But Or is that going to be more of their road that they're going to be looking
and
for?
do you feel that it's okay that if someone goes to church solely for the community aspect of it, or should people be trying to find the truth, right? Because that's something that we hear and have the question, or that people have asked us a lot, because coming from the backgrounds we have, there's supposed to be this, you have to find the truth, people. You can't just be going for the fun of it.
Yeah.
So that's another question we have that we're truly curious. Is it okay to look for a church just for the community, or does it need to be about finding the one truth?
And a lot of people ask us, well, like what you're saying, from especially people that are still in the mainstream church, ask us all the time if we've started going to another church. And I think they're kind of thinking that same thing. Like, did we leave because we feel like there's another truth that we find more true? Mm-hmm. Or are we just kind of wandering, or do they feel like we're lost? So and I think there's a piece of me that has also not gone to other churches specifically because I felt like I couldn't just be there for community, that wouldn't be an acceptable option, that I would have to try to like choose and believe in their doctrine. And I wouldn't be ready for that portion of it yet. Right. So, let us know what you think.
Thank you all so much for being here with us again, and we look forward to talking with you soon.
Talk to y'all soon.